I spoke to 7 Morrisons employees. What they told me about certain products on their shelves will make you think twice before your next shop. These aren't rumors. These are the people who stock the shelves, rotate the products, and see what happens behind those swinging warehouse doors. One of them said, "If people knew what I know, half our aisles would be empty." Another told me, "I'd never feed this to my own family, but I watch customers load their trolleys with it every day." In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly which 10 items Morrisons staff actively avoid. The ones they see go bad and get relabeled. The ones that sit in the warehouse too long. And by the end, you'll know exactly what to skip on your next shop. Number 10. Morrisons Savers Chicken Nuggets. Let's start with something that's in nearly every freezer across the UK. Morrisons Savers Chicken Nuggets. 50 nuggets for £3. Sounds like an incredible deal, right? A shelf stocker named Sarah told me something that made my stomach turn. When we get those boxes in from the warehouse, sometimes they're already partially thawed. We're supposed to report it, but if we reported every box that came in warm, we'd have nothing to sell. So they get refrozen and put out anyway. Refreezing chicken isn't just about texture, it's about safety. When chicken thaws, bacteria multiply rapidly. Refreezing doesn't kill those bacteria. The moment you thaw those nuggets at home, those bacteria wake up and continue multiplying. Look at the ingredients. Mechanically separated chicken is the first ingredient. This isn't chicken breast. It's what's left on the carcass after all the good meat has been removed, blasted off with high-pressure water, pushed through a sieve, and reformed into a paste. This paste contains bone fragments, connective tissue, skin, fat, and very little actual muscle meat. A Morrisons employee told me, "I see families buying 3 or 4 boxes at a time. They think they're getting a bargain. But when I'm stocking these, I can feel how light the boxes are. It's mostly breading and air. There's barely any chicken in there. The breading absorbs massive amounts of oil. A single nugget can contain over 3 grams of fat, most of it saturated or trans fat. These nuggets are pre-fried before freezing, sitting in vats of reused oil heated to high temperatures repeatedly. This creates toxic compounds called aldehydes, linked to increased cancer risk and heart disease." Number 9. Market Street Sushi. Walk into any Morrisons and you'll see their Market Street counters. Fresh fish, freshly made sushi, and premium quality. At least that's what they want you to think. A former Market Street employee told me something that will change how you see those plastic sushi boxes forever. The fish comes in frozen from overseas, sometimes weeks old before it even reaches us. We thaw it in the back, and then it sits in those display cases under bright lights for hours. By the time someone buys it, that fresh salmon has been thawed, sitting, warming up, cooling down for most of the day. The employee continued, "We're told to make the sushi in the morning. Whatever doesn't sell by evening gets reduced and put back out the next day with a new sticker. I've seen the same box get relabeled 3 times. By day 3, that fish is definitely not safe, but it's still being sold. When raw fish starts to go bad, you can't always smell it or see it immediately. The bacteria that cause food poisoning, things like salmonella, listeria, and vibrio, don't always produce obvious warning signs. You eat the sushi, it tastes fine, and then 12 hours later, you're violently ill." Morrisons Market Street Sushi also contains imitation crab sticks in many rolls. These aren't crab, they're surimi, a paste made from the cheapest whitefish available, mixed with starch, egg whites, and crab flavoring. It's colored with synthetic dyes to look like a crab. A single California roll can contain over 600 milligrams of sodium. The rice sits in warming trays for hours. It dries out, so they spray it with water to rehydrate it. This creates the perfect environment for Bacillus cereus, a bacterium that causes severe vomiting and diarrhea. An employee told me, "I stopped eating the sushi after I saw how it's made. The same gloves that handle raw fish handle cooked rice. The cutting boards get a quick wipe, not a proper sanitization. It's cross-contamination waiting to happen." Number 8. Wonky fruit and veg. This one surprised me because Wonky produce is supposed to be the environmentally friendly budget option. Perfectly good fruit and veg that just look a bit odd, sold at a discount. Noble concept, terrible execution. A produce manager told me the truth. Wonky doesn't just mean oddly shaped. It means damaged, bruised, or starting to turn. We're supposed to only put out cosmetically imperfect produce, but in reality, anything that's getting too ripe or showing signs of rot goes into the Wonky section. We just cut off the worst bits and bag them up. You're buying pre-rotting produce that's been handled multiple times, cut and re-bagged. Every time produce is cut, it creates an entry point for bacteria. The employee continued, I've watched colleagues take strawberries that are moldy, pick out the worst ones, and rebag the rest as Wonky. Those remaining strawberries are contaminated. Mold spreads through the entire container, even if you can't see it. Morrisons' Wonky vegetables include potatoes with significant sprouting. When potatoes sprout, they produce solanine, a toxic compound that can cause nausea, vomiting, and neurological problems. Cutting off the sprouts doesn't remove the solanine that's already spread through the potato. Morrisons puts out bananas that are completely brown, leaking, and fermented. Fermented fruit contains alcohol and can cause digestive upset, especially in children. Apples in the Wonky section often have bruises that go deep into the flesh. Bruised areas ferment and can develop patulin, a mycotoxin linked to immune system damage and potential cancer risk. Number 7. Nutmeg ready meals. Morrisons' Nutmeg range is marketed as premium ready meals. Better ingredients, restaurant quality food, just heat and eat. It's priced higher than their standard ready meals, which makes you think you're getting something special. You're not. An employee told me. The Nutmeg meals come in on the same trucks as the cheap ready meals. They're made in the same factories. The only difference is slightly better packaging and about 3 more herbs sprinkled on top. But people pay double because it says nutmeg on the label. Look at the ingredients in a nutmeg lasagna. Water is the second ingredient after pasta. Not tomatoes, not beef, water. Your £9 lasagna is at least 30% water by weight. The meat content is shockingly low. A beef dish might contain only 12% actual beef. The rest is textured vegetable protein, which is soy processed to mimic the texture of meat. It's flavored with beef extract to taste like beef, but it's not beef. You're paying premium prices for soy protein flavored to taste like meat. The Nutmeg range also uses modified starches extensively, treated with chemicals to create a thick, creamy texture without using actual cream. Modified starches can cause digestive issues and blood sugar spikes. A single portion can contain over 2 grams of salt. That's 1/3 of your daily limit in one meal. High sodium is used to mask the lack of real flavor from fresh ingredients. If you're shocked by what you've heard so far, make sure you subscribe because we're only halfway through. The next 5 items are even worse, and I guarantee at least one of them is in your fridge right now. Number 6. Morrisons Salad Bar. The salad bar looks fresh, healthy, and convenient. Build your own salad from a variety of ingredients, pay by weight, and feel virtuous about your lunch choice. Unfortunately, what's really happening behind that sneeze guard is far less appetizing. A former salad bar attendant told me, those ingredients sit out for hours. We're supposed to change them every 4 hours, but that almost never happens. Lettuce from the morning service is still there at dinner time. And when we do refresh the bar, we don't throw away the old stuff. We just add new on top. Lettuce sitting at room temperature for 8 hours. Tomatoes sweating. Cucumber slices are drying out and becoming slimy. All of this creates perfect conditions for bacteria like E. coli, listeria, and salmonella. The employee continued, the worst is when customers use the tongs incorrectly. They dig through the ingredients, touch them with their hands, and let their kids grab things. By afternoon, everything has been contaminated by dozens of people. The salad bar includes pre-cooked items like pasta salad and coleslaw. These items are made in bulk in the morning, sometimes using ingredients that are about to expire. The pasta salad often contains pasta cooked 2 or 3 days prior, mixed with mayonnaise-based dressing. Mayonnaise-based salads need to be kept below 5 degrees Celsius at all times. But the salad bar isn't refrigerated. It's just a counter with a glass shield. The temperature can easily climb into the danger zone where bacteria multiply rapidly. An employee told me about the coleslaw. We make it using cabbage that's starting to wilt and carrots that are going soft. We shred them up, drown them in mayonnaise and sugar, and suddenly it's fresh coleslaw. But that cabbage was probably cut 3 days ago. The protein options are even worse. Sliced chicken breast, ham, and tuna sit uncovered at room temperature for hours. The moisture evaporates, so the staff sprays it with water to make it look fresh again. But that water just spreads any surface bacteria across the entire piece of meat. If you're shocked by what you've heard so far, make sure you subscribe because we're only halfway through. The next 5 items are even worse, and I guarantee at least one of them is in your fridge right now. Number 5. Morrisons Free From Range. The free from section seems like a godsend for people with allergies or intolerances. gluten-free bread, dairy-free cheese, and products specifically designed for people with dietary restrictions. But according to employees, this is where things get dangerous. A worker told me, free from products are stored right next to regular products in the warehouse. There's no separation. I've seen gluten-free bread stacked on top of regular bread boxes. The risk of cross-contamination is massive, but nobody seems to care. Cross-contamination isn't just inconvenient for someone with celiac disease, it's dangerous. Even trace amounts of gluten can trigger severe reactions, intestinal damage, and long-term health problems. An employee in the bakery section told me, we use the same equipment for free from products as regular products. And we're supposed to clean thoroughly between uses, but during busy periods, it's just a quick wipe down. There's definitely gluten residue on that equipment when we make gluten-free items. Morrisons is essentially selling products labeled gluten-free that may not actually be safe for people with celiac disease. And customers trust that label. The dairy-free cheese is made from coconut oil and starch. Coconut oil is a highly saturated fat. A single serving of Morrisons dairy-free cheese contains more saturated fat than regular cheese. People avoiding dairy for health reasons are actually getting something less healthy. The free from range is also significantly more expensive. A loaf of gluten-free bread costs 3 times what regular bread costs. But according to employees, it's made with cheaper ingredients. You're paying more for an inferior product. An employee told me, people with allergies don't have a choice. They have to buy free from. And Morrisons knows this, so they charge whatever they want. It's exploitative. Number 4. Morrisons cooked chicken. Those rotisserie chickens spinning in the heated display smell incredible and look golden and delicious. And at £5, they seem like an easy dinner solution. But employees have told me things about these chickens that will make you reconsider. A deli worker said, those chickens aren't fresh chickens roasted daily. They're chickens that didn't sell in the fresh meat section. When a chicken's use-by date is approaching, we take it out of the package, season it, and roast it. Suddenly, it has a new shelf life, and we can sell it for more money. This is legal, but it's misleading. Customers think they're buying freshly roasted chicken when they're actually buying chicken that was hours away from being thrown in the bin. The seasoning is loaded with salt, monosodium glutamate, and artificial flavorings to mask any off flavors. A single serving contains over 800 milligrams of sodium. That's more than a third of your daily limit. An employee told me, if a rotisserie chicken doesn't sell by the end of the day, we're supposed to dispose of it. But sometimes they get stripped, the meat is removed, and it gets used in the salad bar or in prepared sandwiches the next day. 3-day-old chicken being sold as fresh chicken salad. Cooked chicken is a high-risk food. Once cooked, it needs to be either eaten immediately or refrigerated below 5 degrees Celsius within 2 hours. But these rotisserie chickens sit in heated displays for hours, then cool to room temperature. The ones that don't get refrigerated quickly enter the danger zone for bacterial growth. The chickens themselves are factory farmed, raised in cramped conditions, fed antibiotics and growth hormones, and processed as cheaply as possible. These chickens live their entire short lives in warehouses with thousands of other birds, never seeing daylight. Number 3. Morrisons fish counter. Fresh fish from the fish counter seems like a premium option. You point to what you want, and it's cut and wrapped right in front of you. It feels personal, trustworthy, and fresh. According to employees, it's anything but. A fish counter worker told me, people don't realize that almost all the fish you see on ice have been frozen. It arrives frozen, we thaw it, and display it on ice to make it look fresh. That fresh salmon, it was frozen 3 weeks ago, thawed yesterday, and has been sitting out since this morning. Once a fish has been thawed, it deteriorates rapidly. Within 24 hours, the texture degrades, the color changes, and bacteria begin multiplying. But that fish stays on display for 2 or 3 days. The employee continued, we're taught how to make old fish look fresh. We trim off any discolored edges. We rearrange it so the best side faces up. We keep it moist by spraying it with water. But underneath, it's starting to smell. The ice display is another illusion. That ice melts throughout the day. The water pools under the fish, creating a bacterial soup. Fresh fish should never sit in water. Morrisons display has fish directly on ice that melts into water that the fish then soaks in. The smell near the fish counter is masked with strong ventilation and air fresheners. By late afternoon, If you get close to the fish, you can smell it starting to turn. We increase the ventilation and hope customers don't notice. Morrisons also sells fresh prawns at the fish counter. These prawns are never fresh. They're always previously frozen. The problem is they're then thawed, displayed for days, and sold at fresh fish prices. Number 2, the bakery section. Walk into Morrisons and you're hit with the smell of fresh bread. The bakery section, with its racks of bread, cakes and pastries, looks artisanal and inviting. But employees have revealed what's really going on. A bakery worker told me, "Nothing is baked from scratch here. Everything arrives frozen or par-baked. We just finished it in the ovens and put it out." But customers think it's freshly made because they see us putting bread on shelves. Par-baked means the items are partially baked elsewhere, frozen, shipped to stores, and then finished. This process requires additional preservatives to survive the freeze-thaw cycle. Those preservatives aren't listed on the label because they're considered processing aids, not ingredients. The employee continued, "The ovens we use aren't even cleaned properly. There are layers of burnt residue and crumbs. When we bake bread, all that old burnt stuff gets into the new bread." Morrisons' fresh cream cakes sit in unrefrigerated display cases for hours. The cream is supposed to be kept cold, but these cakes are just sitting out at room temperature. Fresh cream at room temperature is a breeding ground for bacteria. An employee told me, "We're supposed to throw cakes away after 4 hours. We never do. They stay out all day, get reduced in the evening, and people buy them thinking they're getting a deal. That cream has been at room temperature for 8 hours. Morrisons also sells artisan loaves at premium prices. These are supposed to be handcrafted, slowly fermented, and made with quality ingredients. In reality, they're the same par-bake process as everything else, just shaped differently and covered in seeds. A bakery employee said, "The sourdough isn't real sourdough. Real sourdough takes days to make with a starter culture. Ours is made with commercial yeast and sourdough flavoring. It's fake sourdough sold at real sourdough prices." Number 1. Morrisons meat from the reduced section. And here we are. The worst item employees beg you not to buy. Meat from the reduced section. I get it. You see a steak that was £8, now marked down to £2. It seems like an incredible bargain. You think you'll just cook it tonight and it'll be fine. But employees have told me things about reduced meat that should make you walk past that section completely. A meat department worker said, "When meat is approaching its use-by date, we're supposed to assess if it's still safe. But that assessment is basically just looking at it. If it's not obviously discolored or smelly, it gets reduced and put back out. We're not testing it. We're not checking bacterial levels. We're just looking at it. Here's what happens to meat as it ages. Bacteria on the surface multiply. These bacteria produce gases and compounds that start breaking down the meat tissue. This process is called putrefaction. By the time meat is on its use-by date, bacterial counts can be dangerously high. Cooking kills most bacteria, but it doesn't eliminate the toxins those bacteria have already produced. Some bacterial toxins are heat stable. You can cook the meat thoroughly and still get food poisoning from the toxins left behind." The employee continued, "I've seen meat that's clearly turned. It's got that iridescent sheen. It smells off. It's starting to feel slimy. But if it's not completely rotten, it gets reduced. We just package it up, slap a yellow sticker on it, and put it out." The reduced meat section is where Morrisons hides meat that's been mishandled. The meat was left out too long during restocking. The meat that was in a refrigeration unit broke down overnight. Meat that's been through multiple temperature fluctuations. When meat warms up, even briefly, bacteria multiply exponentially. Cooling it back down doesn't reverse this. Those bacteria are still there, just growing more slowly. An employee told me about the minced beef specifically. Mince is the highest risk because bacteria can be mixed throughout, not just on the surface. When whole cuts are ground, any surface bacteria get distributed through the entire batch. If that beef wasn't perfectly fresh when it was minced, the final product is contaminated all the way through. Reduced mince should never be bought under any circumstances. The risk simply isn't worth the savings. The most disturbing thing employees have told me is about redating. Sometimes meat that doesn't sell even after being reduced gets repackaged with a new date. It's illegal, but it happens. Someone in the back repackages it, prints a new label, and it goes back out as full-price meat. Customers have no idea that beef is actually 5 or 6 days old. Morrisons makes a lot of money from its reduced section. It allows them to minimize waste and still profit from meat that should be thrown away. But that profit comes at the expense of customer safety. An employee summed it up perfectly. I understand people are trying to save money, but reduced meat is a false economy. You might save £3 on a chicken, but then you spend a week sick, miss work, and end up worse off. It's not worth it. I know this has been a lot to take in. You're probably wondering where you should shop instead. Here's the thing. Every supermarket has issues. Morrisons isn't uniquely terrible. These problems exist across the industry, but now you know what to avoid. Never buy reduced meat, no matter how good the discount looks. Skip the salad bar entirely. Avoid ready meals from any range. Buy frozen vegetables instead of wonky fresh ones. Choose packaged sushi from brands with proper quality control. Buy meat from independent butchers when possible. For fish, go frozen or find a proper fishmonger. Make your own meals instead of buying ready-made. You know exactly what's in your food. Trust your instincts. If something looks off, smells wrong, or doesn't feel right, don't buy it. Have you been buying any of these items? Have you had bad experiences with Morrisons products? Share your stories in the comments because I want to hear what you've experienced. And if this information helped you, share it with your family and friends. They're shopping at Morrisons too, and they deserve to know what's really on those shelves.